David, you've put together this fantastic presentation for us this week, 5 tips for finding new members. So I just want to pass it over to you if that's okay, and you can take us into a deep dive about some of these tips.
Definitely, thanks. 5 tips for finding new members. We've touched on this subject more in a broader sense in previous webinars, but in this one, we're going to dive into some pretty specific strategies that you can use to not only find new members, but also to help keep them active on your site, keep them in your community, rather than kind of just attracting new members and then hoping for the best and hoping that they stay members on your site. So going into that, finding new members, it is a lot different than actually keeping and maintaining members and making sure that they're active within your community. The key here is to nurture and cultivate your members and try to make them feel like they're a vital partner, not only to you in your website, but also within your community as a whole. And the key to that is earning their trust and having their best interests at heart, addressing what their needs are and how you can make their life easier, save them money, whatever your target demographics goal may be. We've touched on that specific point in most of these webinars. And so tip number 1, creating a community. People, they do want to be part of something that's bigger than just themselves. They want to feel like they're part of kind of a social group of like-minded individuals. Gives them the opportunity to bounce ideas off of one another, discuss related topics of interest. And creating a niche builds that community faster. We've often talked about the easiest way to get a new membership community or new membership website going is to focus on a specific niche rather than focusing on a broader topic, a broader audience, a broader industry. Focusing on that specific niche really helps you narrow down who it is you're marketing to, what specific problems or pain points they have, and how you'll be able to address those. So that'll really make it easier when you're starting from scratch to get that ball rolling with creating that community.
And I just want to touch on that too, David, about creating that community. You know, when you're launching a website or again, like a new online community or service, you have to sell people. You have to get them behind your mission, your purpose, and what you're going to be providing to them as a solution. So when you're specialized and approaching those people or those businesses or whoever your target is, it's a lot easier to make a meaningful and lasting connection when your site is specialized for them. So with the other point you mentioned, when sometimes when I ask people who is your website for, is it everything for everyone? When you're that broad, when your site is supposed to be everything for everyone, it's a lot of work for you because your marketing efforts will be spread too thin trying to appeal to everything and everyone, rather than being hyper-focused and specialized, which will give you an edge to tell people like, look, this is what we're specializing in, and we're going to do X, Y, and Z for this specific group of people. And immediately that already eliminates a hurdle or roadblock for people who might have doubts or questions about joining your organization or community, because you're already telling them our organization is for people or companies like you. So specializing is a really, really big and important thing, especially when you're starting out. And as you grow, you can always expand to new markets or new categories, member categories and things like that. So if you're thinking that your site is everything for everyone, I would highly recommend rethinking your idea and find a way where you can specialize either within a certain vertical or a certain location or a combination of those two.
And there's a great quote by Daymond John. If you're not familiar with the show Shark Tank, he's an investor on the show. A lot of us here at BD enjoy watching it. And he said you'll get a more positive, meaningful, and enthusiastic response when you appeal to a specialized, intimate community. So again, that touches on focusing on that specific niche, whether it's a specific location, a specific professional industry, or another type of niche like dog owners. And tip number 2, getting in front of these new members. The key here is really to be proactive. Don't wait for your members to find your website. You want to be able to show up where they already are. So the big area for this would obviously be social media. Specific target demographics, they'll tend to cultivate, on a specific social media platform. For example, the fitness industry, they're most prevalent on YouTube and Instagram, not so much on Facebook and Twitter. So if that's your target demographic and your target industry, then those are the platforms that you'd really want to be focusing on. Some specific target demographics, they might not be so much into specific social media platforms, but they might have their own pages or groups. Facebook is obviously really expanding their groups feature. There's a lot of new groups out there, maybe some forums like different subreddits. So there's different areas where you can find your target demographic are online. And so you want to identify those locations and go directly to them. Another alternative would be for more of that professional side of the membership or directory websites would be if your target demographic or industry is more local, if they have trade shows, conferences, or events that you can attend and spread the word that way. We've heard sometimes from some website owners that they kind of just set their website up and let it do its own thing, and they just start to get members signed up on it, by themselves, and they don't really have to touch it. It's kind of a set it and forget it kind of thing. That has worked in the past. We typically wouldn't recommend that. It's better to be proactive rather than reactive and kind of just sit there and wait for things to happen. Being proactive, you'll also be able to get feedback directly from the people who you're actually targeting. And then a key with this is also connecting with those influential industry leaders, finding what platforms they most utilize and kind of piggybacking off of them.
And to get more specific, getting in front of them, you can show up in Facebook groups and things like that, but also creating some useful assets or what we call lead magnets. So, and creating lead magnets can take a lot of work, but if you create just a few quality ones, it's like some good ebooks, and you have some decent landing pages on your site, you have something to put in, not only get in front of them, but you have to have things to put in front of them. Something of value that's going to want them to engage with your community. You definitely want to have those assets ready. So, how-to PDFs, top 10 tip PDFs or ebooks, you can easily create a Word document and save it as a PDF and make it available on your site. Having landing pages where they can register for things, maybe it's webinars. We've talked about some of these ideas in previous webinars, but not only get in front of them, but put something in front of them that has some value and shows not only credibility and authority from your community that you're an expert or you're the place to be for a certain niche, but it's also something that can bring them in, so you have some inbound marketing and those assets are working for you to not only to get in front of them, but to put things in front of them that they want and need. So think about what you're actually putting out there that people are going to want. And then use that as your method to get in front of them. Say, hey, we have a new blog post. Okay, so you're putting the blog post into existence, and that's where you're going to get in front of them to get your brand name out there.
And that plays right in to something that you can use when or if you're choosing to have brand ambassadors. So a brand ambassador is just simply a person with influence who will represent your community and who can help spread the word, not only online about your community and your website, but also offline. So this could be anyone from social media influencers, and depending on their size, that might be a little difficult to connect with. But you could also go with industry leaders. Going back to the professional directory example, if you have a business directory in the medical field, or say even in the law field, if you're able to form a connection with, say, a prominent or a successful doctor or attorney, they could be a good voice and person to share your website with those within their inner circle. Trying to build these ambassadors, you really want to do it organically. You don't want to kind of throw all the darts you have at the wall and see which ones stick. Try to target them. Don't go for the really big fish. You're probably not spending your time as wisely as you could be if you're doing that. Go after the more attainable ones and make sure that the people that you are targeting, that they do truly believe in your community, what it is you're offering, the niche that you're focused around. This could also be your existing members. If you already have a bit of a community built up and you notice that some of your members are really engaged and energized by your community, and you notice that they have a decent following elsewhere online, you might want to reach out to them and see if they'd be willing to act as kind of a voice for your community. And you can reward these ambassadors. It doesn't necessarily have to be with actual money, but you can provide them with either free or exclusive access to different areas of your website, or maybe provide them with upgraded features. You could also start an affiliate program. ShareASale is a great one. We actually have an integration with ShareASale and the BD platform, so that's really easy to set up. Basically, they have a link, and anytime somebody clicks on the link and they sign up on your site, they get a certain percentage of that membership sale, whatever you choose to set that as. So there's a few different ways you can go about doing this. It doesn't necessarily have to cost you that much money or any money at all. But I think the key here is focusing on those attainable ambassadors, and not just looking for ambassadors who are outside of your community already, but also looking within your community and see who within your community might act as a good brand ambassador for you, both on and offline.
And actually, talking about brand ambassadors, these are people who can speak nicely about your company and maybe get word of mouth referrals sent to your site. Rather than just social media influencers and industry leaders and gurus and icons, some of your best brand ambassadors can be simply your founding members, the people who have been following your journey since you started. You should hopefully have the best relationships with them. And they can help you get the word out about your website. There's no doubt that they have friends or colleagues who share similar interests, who may want to join your community as well. So the founding members who first join your site, those are great. And it's actually going to be point 5 here that we have in the slide, but building some good relationships, because those loyal relationships and the word of mouth you'll get from referrals from your founding members. And if you have an ongoing practice to turn every new member into kind of a brand ambassador, making them feel special, that's part of your marketing strategy and your marketing budget, because your customer or member acquisition costs, if we can get them to kind of share your site, whether on social media or word of mouth or referring people to your site, that's going to save on your marketing budget when your members are perpetuating some of your marketing efforts for you. So that really is the goal of brand ambassadors, is finding and identifying people who can help perpetuate your brand's marketing efforts in a positive way, because they believe in your product and the community that you've created. So keep some of those things in mind when you're thinking about brand ambassadors. Think about the people closest to you first. And then, of course, you can always look for gurus and icons who can, give you a mention in one of their posts or blog articles or something.
That's right. And relating it back to point number 2, when you do have the brand ambassadors, it's a lot easier for them to share your website and your community with others if they have something of value to show that your website is useful. So if you have, those informational PDFs or the ebooks or videos that they can share with their followers or their community, people within their inner circle, that'll make their job a lot easier in helping to bring people over to your website. So tip number 4, don't be afraid to upsell. We have touched on this a little bit in some of our previous blog articles, but don't think of upselling as kind of trying to go after a hard sell. Target the members who are already happy on your website, the ones who have been with you for a while, the ones who are interacting on your site, or if you have a Facebook community to go along with your website, who are interacting over there. Show that you're committed to helping make their experience even better than it already is. And these upsells, they should be relevant. So you don't want to offer them something that's totally unrelated to your website or your community or that target niche that you're focusing on. It should still all be within or under that same umbrella, and demonstrate how that upsell can save them time or money or whatever benefit it is that you're marketing to your target demographic. So some examples of upselling would be just the simple membership upgrade. If you have different levels of membership plans, if a member is either on, say, a free membership plan or maybe a lower tiered plan, you can upgrade them, offer to upgrade them even at a discount, or maybe sometimes even for free, depending on the circumstance, to your higher tier membership level, so that they can unlock more features, maybe different areas of your website, whatever the differentiating factors are of your membership plans. Another one would be additional services. So if you're offering additional services outside of the website community itself, so for example, going back to the professionals directory, if you have a directory for attorneys or law professionals, you can offer those attorneys not only a membership or listing on the website, but maybe you're also offering a live webinar showing them or giving them tips on how to attract more clients or where to go to find clients that they're specifically focused on, the area of law that they're practicing. So there's a few different ways you can craft these additional services that you're providing outside of the membership itself. Another one that a lot of people kind of overlook is the discounted lifetime plan. So with this, most membership websites offer membership plans either on a monthly or a yearly payment basis. A lot of people, especially if your community has already gotten the ball rolling and there's shows that there's some activity within it, a lot of times they'd rather pay an upfront fee, say maybe $100 instead of $5 every single month. So maybe after they've signed up and they've been a member for a couple months, you might want to send them an email and provide them with a special exclusive plan that's not offered on the front end of your site for a discounted lifetime plan so that they can save money in the long run. And then another one would be what's called a tripwire offer. So this would be something that kind of gets them in the door to your community. So you wouldn't be focused on the membership plan first. You'd actually be trying to sell them maybe a downloadable PDF or an ebook or a video series or a webinar, something on its own, an individual offering. And then once they see the value in that specific offering, maybe at the end of it or somewhere within it, you can relate it back to your membership website, your directory website, and try to move them over to your community that way.
Actually, that tripwire method is it's basically the goal of these lead magnets is to exchange something of value like access to a video or an ebook or something in exchange for an email address, and now you can market to them in the future with things that they might be interested in, with the ultimate goal of piquing their interest enough to join the community as an official member, free or paid, whatever your model is. But those tripwire offerings are very similar to creating lead magnets and providing them with a small exchange at first, leading up to the bigger transaction of paying for a $2,000 yearly access to something special on your site. So yeah, some things to keep in mind.
So yeah, here's one of our blog articles. This was an article that we published quite a while ago. But if you want to get a little bit more information on some upsell techniques specific to membership websites, this might be a good one to check out. We talk about the benefits in manually upgrading individual members for free. I know it doesn't seem like it could be an upsell, but we explain how that is in the article. Sending out leads to the members and capitalizing on that. And then also the kind of umbrella idea of giving them an offer they can't refuse. We expand on that idea as well in this blog article. So you might want to check that out if you want to explore this topic a little bit more. And lastly, nurturing personal relationships. So this idea, I think, isn't focused a lot by smaller or new membership website owners. You can actually focus more on personal relationships with the smaller brand than something a big brand would be able to do. We see it all the time. Big brands, they have big marketing budgets and they market a lot, but smaller brands can actually form those really intricate and important personal connections with their customers, their clients, their members. So you can create those one-on-one connections with each and every one of your members. You can do this by responding to all the messages you receive, both positive and negative. The positive ones, obviously, you can thank them for their feedback. If you want to offer them some kind of discount or upgrade as a thank you, you can do that. But also reply to the negative ones. We've touched on this a couple times in previous webinars, where actually presents a great opportunity to turn a bad scenario into a good one. And you can do this by, if somebody comes to you and they're having a problem or they're not thrilled with something on your website or within your community or how something's functioning, you can show that you're always available there to help them. You want them to succeed. You want to provide the best support that you can for them. And oftentimes, if you're able to make good on this, these people become the biggest champions of your offering, your website, your community. So this is actually a really important point to focus on. And going back to or focusing on the receiving the negative feedback, this is also a good point where once you make good on that situation, you can then ask that person for a testimonial or a review that you can put on your site. Oftentimes, these people will leave the best testimonials that you could ask for. Another one would be, by default, we touched on this earlier in the webinar, but the welcome emails, they're automatically sent out to the members when they sign up. But you can personalize and customize those email templates. So make them more applicable to your members and your membership community. That way it doesn't sound so generic. You can also ask new members if they need a helping hand with anything. You can proactively do this. It lets them know that you're available, that you're there to help, and that you want them to succeed on your website. And lastly, you can show your appreciation to all of your members, both new and long-term members, by offering them free upgrades, holding contests. If you have a local website, maybe you want to do meetups. That would be a great form of really strengthening the community aspect of your website. So all of this, nurturing these personal relationships, the big thing here is that it strengthens the relationships with not only your existing members, but it can also act as a good lead generator when those existing members share their experiences with their friends or family, coworkers, whoever else that they know that might be interested in your website as well.
Yeah, I think, let's remember the title of this tip of the week. It was 5 tips for finding new members. So, when we're nurturing personal relationships, that ties into the brand ambassadors. You're going to create good relationships. The more you're talking to someone or staying top of mind for someone, the more they're thinking about you, the more they might talk about you to their friend, family, or colleagues. So nurturing these relationships and providing good vibes to the people who are interested in your community. It goes back to that word of mouth and creating brand ambassadors of people who, talk about your community. Hey, there's this cool thing out there. You might want to join it. I'm part of it, and things like that. So creating those relationships are built into your, not only saving on your marketing budget, because again, they're perpetuating some of your marketing efforts for you, but it does create loyalty, and it definitely saves you from, again, the marketing budget really comes down to it becomes a huge savings, and that's how you can build an edge over competitors who may just be spending ad dollars on Google ads and Facebook ads and Google ads and Facebook ads. Getting these personal relationships you can't really just pay for with a Google ad, and that's how you can gain an edge on lowering your overall marketing costs, and also growing your community at the same time with people who really value what you're offering. So all this building a community and things like that, it's really tied to helping your marketing plan and turning the idea of good relationships with your members as part of your marketing strategy, which ultimately helps you find new members as the end game here.
That's exactly right. And I think that really ties this whole presentation together well, going into the final slide. How finding and keeping members, it requires a balance. A lot of strategies, they can be seen as totally separate. Strategies for finding new members and strategies for maintaining your existing members and keeping them happy. But a lot of the times they can kind of intertwine and work with one another. So the big 3 takeaways here are to be proactive in making those authentic connections and to build trust through those connections and to do the right thing. So if somebody comes to you with a less than stellar experience on your site, or they're having some difficulty with anything, maybe you want to provide them with a free month of membership, or give them a discount on one of those external services that you're offering, or maybe give it to them for free. If you charge for leads, maybe provide them with their next 3, 4, 5 leads for free. Those small gestures, they really make a big impact, especially on those new members and when they're having a less than stellar experiences. Seeing that you're proactively taking a step to try to right any wrongs that there are, whether it's your fault or not, it really does make a big impact, and those people can become the biggest champions of your community and act as brand ambassadors for you in the future.
Yeah, and again, I'm just going to repeat what you said. I think the whole point of this tip of the week here is a strong community can help find new members for you, because those happy community members are going to refer you and do a lot of the heavy lifting with word of mouth advertising for your company. So yeah, all good things to keep in mind here, David. And I learned a lot of new things here today too. So hopefully we could take some of these actions here and actually bake them into what we do here at Brilliant Directories as well. So thanks for sharing that, David.